Walpurgis-NOT takes place on the night of April 30th to May 1st. It's also known as Hexennacht, or the Witches' Night. It is said to be the night of a witches' meeting on the Brocken, the highest peak in the Harz Mountains, a range of wooded hills in north-central Germany between the rivers Weser and Elbe. The area is noted for the phenomenon of the Brocken specter, which is a magnified shadow of an observer typically surrounded by rainbow-like bands thrown onto a bank of clouds in high mountain areas when the sun is low. The phenomenon was first reported on the Brocken. The origin of the festival can be traced back to an ancient pagan legend, which says that Wotan married his beloved Freya on the Brocken on the night of April 30th. Walpurgisnacht is exactly 6 months from All Hallows' Eve and marks the beginning of the warmer months leading into spring and summer. The celebration of, quote, making it through another bitter winter, unquote, is implied during the festivities. Winifred Hodge writes in Walpurga and the Rites of May, quote, since this is a turning tide when the season is not quite one thing or another, a between time, it is very suitable for occult divination and spellcraft, a time to take advantage of the thinner veils between the worlds and the fact that our minds are temporarily focused away from everyday affairs and onto the magical energies of nature's spring tides. The witches gather there on the Brocken Mountain and hold revels with the devil. The celebration is a bacchanalia of the evil and demonic powers, with infernal sabbaths and the casting of malefic spells intended to render the lands and herds barren. During the Christian era, as well as in earlier eras, exorcism rituals had to be performed to drive off the curses in order to preserve the summer's prosperity, which would in turn allow the dark months of winter to be spent in the best circumstances. St. Walpurgis Night is the eve of the Christian feast day of St. Walpurga, an 8th century abbess in Francia. This feast commemorates the canonization of St. Walpurga and the movement of her relics to Eichstätt, both of which occurred on 1st of May, 870. St. Walpurga was hailed by the Christians of Germany for battling pests, rabies, and whooping cough, as well as witchcraft. Christians prayed to God through the intercession of St. Walpurga in order to protect themselves from witchcraft, as St. Walpurga was successful in converting the local populace to Christianity. In parts of Christendom, people continued to light bonfires on St. Walpurga's Eve in order to ward off evil spirits and witches. Others have historically made Christian pilgrimages to St. Walpurga's tomb. But as the Christians prayed to their saints and cried for protection from the very people they themselves wiped out, the demonic delights of the holiday remained in collective memory. In the tragic play Faust by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, first published in 1809, the demon Mephistopheles makes a bet with God. He says that he can lure God's favorite human being, the scholar Dr. Faust, who is striving to learn everything he can that can be known, away from his righteous pursuits. Mephistopheles appears to Faust and offers to do anything Faust wants while he is here on Earth, and in exchange, Faust will serve the devil in hell. Faust's arrangement is that if he is pleased enough with anything Mephistopheles gives him that he wants to stay in that moment forever, then he will die in that moment. Faust then falls in love with Gretchen, but in his seduction of her, accidentally poisons her mother, then he duels and kills her brother. When Gretchen has Faust's child, she goes insane and kills the baby. Mephistopheles tries to take Faust's mind off of things by escorting him to Walpurgis Night and introducing him to a lovely young witch named Lilith. It doesn't work. Moving forward about a century and a half, Anton LaVey officially founded his Church of Satan on Walpurgis Night in 1966 in San Francisco. In the Satanic Bible, he declares that, quote, after one's own birthday, the two major satanic holidays are Walpurgisnacht and Halloween. LaVey claimed it to be the year one, Anno Satanas, the first year of the age of Satan. Now, I think that as Satanists, we each have our own year one. It could be the first time you picked up a book about Satanism, or it could be the first time you attended a meeting. But remember, tonight we celebrate ourselves and our community. We celebrate the witches that came before us, who struck fear into the hearts of the weak. We celebrate ourselves and our strength. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy, and Ave Satanas.